Right guys, Dan Hendriksen here at Torquay Golf Club. Hashtag Ask Dan. I've had a tweet come in.
It's at Hendriksen Golf, wondering if this would make a good video. Sometimes it looks like you set up with a ball on the toe of your club. Is this something particular to you in your swing path? Can average players take anything away from this?
This is something that I'm unaware of, so this is not something that I consciously think about. I'm going to have a little look at some old footage and just see if this is actually maybe a camera angle, or we're going to look at it in a bit more detail today. Lester, do you notice if I set up anything out of the toe?
I've never noticed you setting up the toe, to be honest. I mean, I've played a lot of golf with you, but no, I've never noticed
it.
No.
I'm not aware that I'm doing it. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to hit a series of shots just normally, as I would. We're going to have a little look at where I'm actually striking it in the face. But then we're also going to move me around a little bit, so move my position across the face, should we say, with setup, and then look and see if that changes anything in my deliveries for path and obviously face strike. So let's hit some shots, let's get some numbers and report them into you. So the first thing is, like, what this is kind of almost making me think about is, where do I actually look when I look down at the ball? Because I'm not looking at the face of the club to see where I am lining up to the club face. So I'm kind of thinking, well, where do I actually look? And if I'm being honest, I'm kind of focusing on a few of the dimples on the back of the golf ball, not actually right at the back, but maybe just on sort of on the back edge, but more on top of the ball. So I'm not actually aware that what my club face is, where it's lined up to. Okay, so that's normal to me. So it may be something that I've done for years and like maybe just unaware that I'm doing it. Not sure, I'm not certainly conscious about trying to do it and maybe changing my path. So I've hit 6 shots, so come on in, Lester. So if we look at my numbers, I'm 5 degrees down on the ball. This was with a 7 iron, remember. I'm 0.8 into out, which is about where I am. I'm pretty neutral on that. Club face is 0.8 close to that path on an average. Slightly toe up, but look at my strike now. So 4 millimeters in the toe. And it's all consistently in the toe, isn't it? Except for one there. There's one at 1 millimeter and one at 0. But the rest is 9 millimeters, 7 millimeters. So you'd say that actually nothing favouring the heel. And probably with my worst shots, I'm starting to get it more toey. So let's have a little look. So it is favouring the toe a fraction there. So I'm now going to move or consciously try and move my position on the club face. So I'm going to set the ball up, whereas it looks like I've kind of been having it maybe here. I'm just going to see if I can bring it back across the face more towards the heel and see if it really makes any difference at all. Obviously, ideally, I want to try and get it as centre as I can. But let's do for this experiment just extreme move now, get it more over here and see what numbers that brings up. So just by me almost pushing that club further away there, I'm starting to feel like my arms are now I'm reaching. So to get there, I need to just feel like I'm moving a little bit more into the ball. So I feel like I'm a little bit closer to the golf ball. So probably only ½ an inch in my step, but certainly it feels closer to the golf ball. Right, let's hit some shots like this. Definitely feel like I've got less room to swing through. Not that the strikes have been bad, the strikes feel good, but I definitely feel like I'm a bit jammed up as I come into impact, maybe a little bit too close to the ball. Right, so I'm feeling, and we'll look at the numbers in just a moment, but I'm just feeling that at impact I'm just a bit jammed up, like I feel like I'm a bit stuck. And I feel like I'm going to maybe start to lose the ball a little bit right. Let's look at the numbers. So, favouring the right side here slightly. So 7 millimeters more in the heel. There's a couple of like extreme ones there, but again, going from all toe to now all heel. So what's that saying to you?
Well, from your own perspective, where you've actually at impact delivered the club back is where you've actually started at address. So to me, you should be having that ball absolutely dead centre, and you'd probably find the middle of the club, as we know you are a consistent striker, probably 9 times out of 10.
So you're bang on, aren't you? So actually, and this is such a good, I think this is such a good lesson in setup. You know, a lot of the tour players, they will spend an awful lot of time on the range just making sure their setup is correct. I need to be a bit more focused on where I'm actually setting up to the golf ball, basically, don't I? So I need to take more time over my preparation and my setup, because obviously where I'm setting it up out the toe, I'm actually hitting it from that position. When I'm setting it up in the heel, I'm actually hitting it in that position as well. So I just need to, as Lester's rightly said, I need to get the feeling of getting more precise with my setup. So set up here in the toe, strike in the toe. Set up in the heel, strike in the heel. So, you know, this is a good lesson for myself, is get it more set up in the centre. Let's try again. So I feel now that by setting up, definitely when I was setting up a little bit in the heel, I felt like I was a bit cramped coming through, a bit jammed up, which felt like I was going to leak it out to the right hand side, and we see that it was catching it off the heel. Now that I've got it more in the centre, I'm back to kind of where I was. Like I feel like I've still got all the freedom through the shot to hit the shot. I don't feel like I'm cramped up in any way. Let's look at the numbers and see where I was striking those last sort of 4 or 5 shots. Right, so here's my last efforts, shall we say. So I'm back to, I was 5.5 down with my normal position. I then went to 7 down, and I'm now back to sort of in between, aren't I? Like bang in between, really. Path average, I've now moved back up to where I kind of was, so I came out a bit zero, maybe a little bit, starting to get a bit out to in with that one closer to the heel. Whereas now at 0.8 in to out, I feel like I'm back to where I kind of was before. Club face a fraction more open, but again, that's tiny numbers there. Lie has stayed pretty much the same, hasn't it, all the way through, but look at the strike. So 1 millimetre an average in the toe compared to 4 millimetres in the toe when I was set up normally, and then moving into the heel where I was 7 millimetres, and then I've gone to 2, 1, 2, 1, 0. So where I've been setting up to in the club has just been a bit wrong. I was a little bit out. You're talking moving it from 4 millimetres to now 1 millimetre. I definitely feel like if I'm getting it more centred strike, it should help my game.
Yeah, definitely, Dan. To be fair, we are, like you said, we're talking fractions and millimetres, but those fractions, those millimetres can be the difference between, you know, 1 and 2 yards offline or off centre strike. So it does make a difference. So I think there's definitely a lesson to be learned here.
And I agree. I think there is a lesson to be learned here. I think this comes down to setup with you guys and myself. I need to now focus on my setup. I think this is a lesson to us all where we could just go ahead and have a few hits on the range, get a feel as to what feels right and wrong. So get set up in the toe, get set up in the heel, and then try and focus on that middle one as well. And just see how it makes you feel over the shot. Does it make you feel like you're a little bit more cramped up? Just sort of start having a think about where you're striking it off the club face. Let me know, did you like this video? Is it a little bit of information for you? I've certainly learned something from my own game, and hopefully you've maybe learned something a little bit more there as well. Put your comments down below, let me know what you think. Don't forget to keep sending in your questions, #AskDan, and I look forward to catching up with you soon.